This is Tom Fox. I'd like to welcome you to the newest addition to the Compliance Podcast Network, the Compliance Tip of the Day. This is the podcast where we bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. Join us as we explore the latest trends from the Department of Justice, share some best practices, demystify complex compliance issues to help keep your organization doing business ethically and in compliance, and at the end of the day, more profitably. Tune in daily for your dose of compliance wisdom. Let's make compliance a little less daunting, one tip at a time. Now a word from the sponsor of the Compliance Podcast Network, Ethico.
If you're a compliance officer, middle managers are crucial in getting your programs from you to your frontline employees. But how do we activate those managers and get them on our side? Ethico's new Middle Manager Toolkit equips you with the skills needed to empower your managers, to promote a culture where ethical behavior thrives and employees feel empowered to speak up. Learn how to turn frontline managers into ethical leaders with our new white paper, Empowering Middle Managers as Ethics Champions. And did I mention you can get the whole toolkit for free? Head to ethico.com to download the full toolkit today.
Also, if you are looking for something new and different for the upcoming Compliance Week celebration in November, check out The Compliance Kids. It's my 3-book children's series on compliance and compliance professionals for children. But they make great gifts and great training tools for your employees. You can check it out on Amazon.com. We've linked to it in the show notes. Today we take up the often asked question of what is compliance training effectiveness? Obviously, this is something the Department of Justice has talked about for many, many years, and it's still something compliance professionals struggle with. Determining the effectiveness of your program was enshrined by the DOJ back in 2019, and it has continued forward into the 2023 ECCP. The DOJ wants to see evidence of the effectiveness of your program. As I mentioned, many of us still struggle with this, but there are a variety of ways you can try and determine this. You can look at employee engagement. You can consider the actions employees take after they receive a training. Many companies still have a questionnaire or some sort of examination, short examination after the end. But how about having a survey? This could provide insight into determining if employees thought the training was beneficial and effective in answering their questions. A critical part of employee training is the assessment. You can collect this data in a number of ways. You can try to measure pre and post training observations and attitudes. The beauty of the survey is it provides feedback on not simply the compliance training to determine effectiveness, but a much wider area, a set of areas for your compliance program. Surveys can provide critical information on the state of your compliance program and provide substantive feedback for further inclusion in a loop back into your compliance program. Similar to a culture audit, you can audit the effectiveness of your compliance training by asking direct questions of things that employees thought were important. If they list out things that you wanted to get across or concepts you wanted to get across, I think you can have some measure to show this was effective. Obviously, the most important metric is, did you have a compliance violation? But if you did, go back and look at the training and see what the results were for that employee going forward. As I said in the opening of this podcast, this month's sponsor of the entire Compliance Podcast Network is Ethico, and they've developed a toolkit for middle managers that will help middle managers in intaking information from employees and, equally importantly, understanding how to respond and how to get the information up to compliance for the decision makers. We've linked to this toolkit in our show notes, so check it out at ethico.com. This is Tom Fox again. This new podcast, Compliance Tip of the Day, will appear daily. And frankly, it's one of the most requested topics for a podcast that I get on a regular basis. It's going to be short and sweet with one tip with some takeaways that you can utilize to implement into your compliance program. If you've got a question that you would like a tip on, please submit them through our website, and we will use them in an upcoming episode. The compliance tip of the day is a production of the award-winning Compliance Podcast Network.